I think sometimes you're so invested in something, it's really easy to react emotionally.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel right now I'm really angry. I'm going to react angrily. Even though maybe, I don't actually feel like this all the time. I just feel like this in the moment. I think trying to diagnose that sometimes and have appropriate reactions it's challenging. I think it's challenging for adults.
Yeah.
I think it's even more challenging for, young adults and my kids. It always sticks hard with me about if I'm complaining about something that I'm not happy about, it's probably because I'm allowing it to happen or I'm not doing a very good job. I always try to stop myself if I'm getting agitated with a certain situation and just be like, okay, this is probably on me.
I read something the other day, be a participant in your own rescue. And I thought, hey, that's pretty good,
This is the Leave It Better podcast, powered by the Side Out Foundation. Here's your host, Hall of Fame coach, Janice Kruger.
Today, my guest here on the Leave It Better podcast is the head coach of the beach program at Florida Atlantic in South Florida. His name is Steve Grotowski, and we're here to talk about several things today. You are my first guest as a beach coach on our podcast series, so we're going to find out a lot about that. I want to share your volleyball journey with everybody. It's quite impressive, and there's a flag behind you that I did see earlier. That's kind of, I got a little Great Britain and USA tied together. And about your late wife, Capri, and her battle with breast cancer, and go into a little bit more about your program as it is today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I was excited to talk to you and kind of share our story and share some of the things that we've got going on here at FAU.
Yeah. Well, first off, let's give everybody just a little background on your volleyball journey. And I'm kind of curious about the playing start. A guy like big, strong athlete like you fall in love with volleyball. Okay. Like where did this start?
Yeah, it was in London. Yeah, at Horse Guards, which was crazy because that's where they celebrate the Queen's birthday every year. And I used to go as a kid and sit up in the grandstand and, watch the Queen roll around in the gravel. And then when I found out that they were going to have the beach volleyball there, it was pretty surreal because it's not really the type of place that you would expect to have beach volleyball.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
My start to volleyball was funny, really. I didn't want to play. I didn't really have a significant interest in volleyball. Freshman year of high school, a bunch of my friends started playing on the volleyball team. I was still playing golf, basketball. I swam. I played tennis. Still playing a little bit of baseball and soccer. But we had a beach volleyball court in our neighborhood, and three of my buddies needed a fourth. So the negotiation process was always, well, all right, if you guys come and play basketball with me, I'll play volleyball with you after. So we would play some 2-on-2 for a little while, and then I would begrudgingly go and play volleyball. I don't think I was particularly good. The following year in high school, our boys coach was also the assistant girls coach, and I guess he got wind that I was playing some volleyball. And he said, hey, I'll train you to be a setter. You can be a manager for the girls team, and then you can set for the boys team in the spring. And I thought that sounded pretty good. There was a senior on the volleyball team that would give me a ride home every day. And that also sounded pretty good to me. So I set for the boys team sophomore year and started playing a little bit on the beach, kind of got the bug.
Yeah.
And then junior year, started to have some conflicts. The basketball coach wasn't super happy with me because I was missing conditioning to go to away games for the girls team. And he ended up giving me an ultimatum and said, you need to pick one. I was kind of a punk in high school. I was a little defiant. So I said, I'm going to stick with volleyball. And I had a similar run-in with the golf coach. He wanted me we had a big rivalry game coming up, and it was the same time as a golf match. And I told him, hey, I'm going to miss the golf match for this game. It's a big district game. And he said, no, you can't do that. You started golf first. So golf takes priority over volleyball. And we went to the AD, and the AD was like, well, you can't not be there. You can't go to one over the other. You have to go to golf. So I wasn't super happy. I think I shot a 64 on 9 holes for golf.
And what's a normal score for you at that?
So for 9 holes, I was shooting in the low 30s, or sorry, low 40s, high 30s. Yes, it was probably one of my more vindictive rounds. So then we kind of ran into a similar problem, and everybody was just kind of pushing me towards volleyball. Everybody kept giving me a hard time about it, and I slowly kind of fell in love with it, and started playing a little bit more on the beach. I got really lucky. I just played in an age group event in Myrtle Beach this weekend. It's called the Megalodon.
I've read about that a little bit. Yeah.
The partner I played with he's a little older than me, but he kind of got me started, and he was a really intense, intimidating guy at the time. I was just out of high school, and I was trying to sort of play some open level, pro level stuff on the beach. I asked him to play with me, and I didn't think that he would, because he was very established and he was very good. And I did the thing where, you ask somebody and you just hope it's over really quick. I wasn't making any eye contact. And he stares at me for a long moment that was just awful. And he starts asking me questions. He's like, oh, what side do you play? Whatever. What do you do in this situation? I don't know. Just tell me no so I can get out of here. So this went on for a little while, and finally he says yes. So, okay. And we play this event. We end up taking third. We get knocked out of the event by two of my former high school teammates that he's coaching, because he's coaching at my old high school now. So they knocked us out of the tournament. I thought, well, that's the end of that. We're never going to play together again. And so he said, I'll see you on Monday for practice, right? And I was like, okay. His name is Wayne Matthews, and he was kind of the guy that sort of, he taught me how to work hard. Mm-hmm. Just everything he did it at 100%. Yeah, he would drag me out at 2:00 in the afternoon in the Florida summers, and yeah, he would put me to work. And I never forget, I was just finally kind of catching up and starting to feel good about what we were doing. And I show up for that Monday practice, and he goes, here, put this on. Hands me a weight vest. And I'm like, what? So we did all the stuff that we've been doing, and now I was doing it in a weight vest, and I died all over again. It was a really good start for me, kind of playing professionally, and it finished in a really good way. We won a big event at the end of that summer. He ended up moving up to North Carolina, and we ended up playing Nick and Phil, Nick Lucena and Phil Dahlhauser. We hadn't beaten them all year. We played them multiple times, and we ended up somehow beating them twice in one day. It was a really magical day, and that was his last big pro tournament. It was a great way to finish off. And then we've stayed in touch over the years, and I've been up there a few times, and then obviously going up this weekend to play in the Megalodon is what they call it. And it was very nostalgic getting to play with Wayne and kind of being back there. And it was a good weekend for sure.
Yeah. Oh, these stories of the beginnings of some guys, because there's always the basketball and there's the other things coming in there, and they get pulled over and they step in and they fall in love with the sport. So how tall are you, Steve?
I'm 6'6".
6'6". Okay. Yeah. All right. 6'6" and a setter. Did you ever play indoor?
I did. I played a year at the University of New Haven.
Okay. All right.
But after that summer, somebody said, hey, you could be a pro athlete, right? Like, you could make money at this. And I went, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So then I just kind of put my head down and pursued beach volleyball pretty intensely for the next, 12 years or so, 13 years.
Okay. So tell me, how did you become an Olympic athlete for Great Britain?
So I was playing on the AVP, and I tried to convince my brother, to come and play with me in Europe, more as a vacation. There were some people that were kind of successfully playing some satellites and challengers. They had different terms for the events back then, but they were smaller events where you could earn some prize money, travel around Europe, and I thought it would be a fun way to spend some time with my brother over the summer. And I couldn't quite get him on board to do it. And then I found out that one of the female players on the AVP, Denise Johns, she was in a similar position to me. She had a British passport, and she'd started playing for England at the time because they were still in the process of becoming Great Britain for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And I talked to her a little bit and got in touch with Volleyball England, and a few phone conversations, some emails. And when they got the bid for the London Olympics, they started to put together a significant amount of infrastructure, hiring coaches, setting mm-hmm. things up for a lot of sports.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough that I was able to get involved, and moved out to California for a little while, trained there, and then ended up moving to England and living in England for a little while and traveling and playing from there. One thing led to another. We had a little bump in the road. The housing market crashed in 2008, and a lot of things changed there. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of money that was supposed to be allocated from the private sector for the British Olympic program that ended up not being there. So in 2009, I ended up moving back to the U.S., going back to play on the AVP in 2010, but the AVP went bankrupt in 2010.
Okay.
Yes. So one of the men's players from Great Britain called me and said, "Hey, I think we can make a run at this." I was in a good mindset to be ready to go play international volleyball again. So I was very fortunate. Spalding helped me out. Spalding sponsored us. East End Volleyball in Long Island, New York. Rich Hiles is the owner of that, and he's been a really big supporter for a long time. He still helps out with the Beach Bash, and I still go up there to Long Island every summer and do some clinics and things like that.
Yeah.
So he was a really big part because we were self-funded with the housing market crash and everything that was going on. We had to kind of pay our way because we had to play in 18 international events to be eligible for the London Olympics.
Yeah, that's getting down the road a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. I think like a lot of things, right? You just sort of go, all right, how are we going to get this done? I think that's probably one of the things that I enjoy so much about, working in college athletics is every day I run into different problems, right? There's always different things that need a solution, and finding the pieces of the puzzle and trying to figure out the best way to move forward. I think that piece is really interesting.
Something you like. That's really great. Yeah, you've had a lot of practice in those areas, sounds like, throughout your time. Now, fast forward, can we bring Capri into this story a little bit? Because I know she was also, your late wife, also a pro player.
She played on the AVP and sort of regionally in Florida, up and down the East Coast. She didn't quite make it to playing internationally. We had our first child in 2010. So she did play a little bit after our first child, but it slowed her down a little bit. And she was very supportive of letting me continue to play and travel. So I was very fortunate in that regard that she was willing to stay home with a little baby while I was out in all kinds of different countries and traveling here, there, and everywhere.
Was she currently then coaching at Florida Atlantic?
She started the summer of 2014. So that was 2014 was a pretty big year for her because our daughter, our second child, Kaya, was born in June. I think Capri accepted the job for FAU kind of middle of May, and then end of May she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it was pretty it was a whirlwind of 2 months for sure.
Yeah. Wow. And she was young, so young.
Yeah, she would have been, gosh, how old was she? 28, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And can we go down that road just a little bit further? I watched a video this morning of your late wife.
Yeah, this I believe this was Capri just kind of talking about the process. Finding a small pea-sized lump in her breast, going to the doctor kind of saying, nothing to worry about. If it gets bigger, let us know.
Yeah.
And then when she got pregnant with our second child, we ended up finding out that it was estrogen-driven tumor. She was HER2 positive, so being pregnant kind of speeds up the growth of a tumor like that. And so it got significantly bigger. And by the time we got it biopsied, she was stage 2, I believe, or maybe even she was stage 4 at that point, because it had spread into her sternum. Mm-hmm. So there was kind of a rush to get Kaya out. Kaya was, I think she was about 36 weeks, so it was safe to do an emergency C-section and then kind of start working on Capri's treatment to make sure that she was okay and, to get her going. And I think with this video, you can really feel just how shocked everybody was. Capri was someone who she stopped drinking soda in 4th grade because she wanted to be healthy. Mm-hmm. And when we started going through a list of all the things that she should avoid to make cancer worse, she was doing all of them anyway. All the things that you should be doing to lead a healthy life. Yeah. She was someone that really took care of herself. And it was very shocking. I think it was very hard to come to grips with the fact that she was diagnosed with cancer. Just being so young, being so healthy. Most people that met her would describe her as a ray of sunshine. In this video, you can definitely kind of feel the shock and the surprise.
Yeah. I watched it, I think, for the first time yesterday, and I hadn't found it as I was researching for you. And when I listened to it, I was so moved by her message and just the story that you guys all went through.
Back in 2014, I was pregnant with my daughter. I was 38 weeks, and I went in, I had a lump in my breast. I asked my doctor to check it out if it was something we should be concerned about. I had gone in a year previously, so it was 2013, and I asked him, it was about the size of a pea then, and he told me, don't worry about it, it's probably no big deal. If it gets bigger, if it starts to hurt, then come in and we'll have it checked out. So, fast forward to a year later, I'm pregnant, 38 weeks, and it did get bigger. I asked him about it. He's like, it's probably nothing. You can wait till after you give birth, or if you want to go get it checked out now, that's fine too. And of course, when you have a baby, you have 0 time to yourself. So I told him, let's go now. So, later that week, I had an appointment with a specialist. She checked it out. She said, let's get a biopsy just to be safe. It came back, and sure enough, I was diagnosed stage 4 breast cancer that metastasized to my bones. I went to a NAI school. I played 4 years of indoor college. I was a vegetarian for probably 6 years. I was healthy. After I graduated college, I started playing beach volleyball. A couple years out of college, I joined the pro circuit. I played pro for about 5, 6, 7 years. I was pretty much the epitome of health, and it blows my mind. And I've had many people come up to me and say, my diagnosis was devastating to so many people just because all of the cursors, overweight, drugs, alcohol, diet, all of those things, it's not in my family history anywhere. Like, it's a crazy thing, but, it doesn't escape anybody. Anybody anywhere can get the diagnosis. Trust your own instincts. When I got diagnosed, if I would have pushed a little bit harder when I found that lump that was the size of a pea, it would have been a different story. Now I'm dealing with something that they don't have a cure for. And, when it metastasized to your bones, that's not really what can kill you. But if I would have, when it metastasized to the vital organs, that's when that's when it gets really scary, and it can happen at any time. So, push. If you have questions, if you feel anything, if you have, the smallest inkling, tell your doctor, you're in charge of you. To enjoy life, to enjoy every moment. Don't do something you don't love. Life's too short. Whether it's hanging out with my kids or, when I come to work every day, make sure it's something that you won't regret, because everybody has an expiration date, but when you can identify, okay, mine might be sooner, and you can maybe identify what it might be, then it starts to get very real. When you don't have that, or when you're not thinking about any of that, you seem to let the day go by while maybe you're miserable at work, or maybe you're in an unhappy relationship or anything like that, where anything could happen to anybody any day. I'm no different than everybody else that's walking around today. So just to enjoy it, take pride in what you do, have a good time. If you want to travel. If you want to, stay home that day and be with your family, stay home that day and be with your family. Just don't take it for granted.
Wow.
Pretty good message.
Yeah, that's really powerful, Steve. That's really powerful.
It's really easy to get caught up in all the stuff that maybe doesn't matter so much, right? Mm-hmm. I think, especially as athletes and coaches, we tend to be overly competitive sometimes. But I think, watching that last month and watching it again now, it's definitely something that's, I think, alive with my kids, with the program, with my interactions with just about everybody about, what's really important.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the additional parts of that story is with her work and the both of you with the program and reaching the national championship or the beach championship in 2022. And for her to witness that, as challenging as it was, I'm imagining, was something that made her smile.
Yeah, that was, for her, that was a goal when she got here. That was, she was, like most athletes and most coaches, she was constantly being competitive and pushing boundaries, pushing me to be better, pushing the kids to be better, pushing our athletes to be better, but always with a smile. She had such a funny way of being demanding of you, but did she just say that? She was smiling. It sounded like a nice thing, but I think she's telling me to be better. Yeah, she had a special way about her, and just the way she went about getting there, I think was so impressive. There was countless times that season where she probably shouldn't have traveled.
Mm. Yeah.
She had different things going on. She was in a lot of pain. I know at one point she just had a biopsy and she was really in a lot of discomfort. She was sleeping in a recliner because she couldn't lay down all the way. Mm. Mm. And I said, maybe this event's not the one, to sit in the car for a few hours and then sleep in a hotel bed. And she looked at me and she's like, well, if I can lay down on Friday, I'm going.
She's a determined.
And I said, this was on like Wednesday night and she couldn't, like every time she tried, like it was really painful. Mm-hmm. And so Friday morning, she just gritted her teeth and showed me that she could lay down. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, I'm going. And I said, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I knew better than to get in her way. She loved the girls. She loved the team. I mean, she fought harder than, I think a lot of people would have done just to be here and come into work and, do her expenses on Monday after going to get chemo on Monday morning and then coming in, finishing off her expenses and getting ready to go to practice on Tuesday. And, it would have been really easy for her just to, take the afternoon off or do it later or something like that. But she never did.
Thank you. I know that couldn't have been real easy for you. It's like you have these beautiful memories and these wonderful things, and then you have such a sense of a loss and sadness that go with that. But
when Capri passed, we were looking for ways to do fundraising even before she passed. And we were going to have a golf tournament. I don't know why we were going to have a golf tournament, because that's what people do. And one of the moms that had been helping me, she was going to help me with the golf fundraiser. She's like, what are we doing? Why are we going to have a golf tournament? We should have a beach volleyball tournament in memory of Capri. I said, yeah, that's a really good idea. We should definitely do that. We ended up putting a fours event together, co-ed fours. The first year, it was super hectic. I've never done a charity event before or anything like that, but my kids got to be involved in some of the logo design. They were there handing stuff out. And for the program to remember, it's just people getting together and telling stories about Capri.
Mm-hmm.
The first year we raised money for the program. It allowed the girls to go out to the West Coast to compete for the first time. It allowed us to travel the whole team to the national championships. It was just such a positive event. And the second year we got a little bit more organized and we got involved with a company called Pink Ball.
Yes.
Pink Ball is a local company or charity in Boca that raises money that goes straight to women who have maybe gaps in their insurance, or, they're putting off an exam or a test or something like that. Putting off a screening because, they have a little bit of insurance, but they can't afford to go do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt just, from having multiple conversations with Capri about her diagnosis and the way that happened, early detection, getting help soon. And it just felt like a really, really great way to do that. And it's run out of the hospital that's a partner with the university. So everything just really, it fit really well. The director of Pink Ball knew Capri. I didn't even realize when I called her up and started talking to her about it. It hit her really. Oh my God, this is Capri. Oh. And I said, yeah. And so I think that connection was really special. So she's been really involved, and so we're donating a portion of the proceeds raised to Pink Ball and for alumni to come back and they play and they get to spend time remembering Capri. For my kids, it's a way to connect and keep her memory alive for her family. It's such a positive, fun event for so many people that are involved. And I'm really excited because we're going to have it on campus this year.
Okay.
It's been off campus for the last couple of years, but we're going to have it on campus. And I think that's going to be just a really great way to continue sharing this team that Capri loves so much with the community down here and, with her friends and families and all the parents and the alumni. And it's just really cool. And, I get to go back and look at pictures and videos and things like that. And I think for me, it's a really cool way to stay connected with her. So,
yeah, I have seen some of those pictures. It looks like such a joyous event. People really having a good time, playing hard.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. It's been really fun. Yeah.
I feel like I should send you some things to have there for what the Side Out Foundation does with our research for folks that find themselves in metastatic or stage 4. That gives them also sort of that help where they may need it, or they don't financially, or their insurance may not be there, where they get a report from us about their specific cancer, and then it's treated according to what the best treatment options are at that point in time for that person. So giving them time with their families, and where it's not as maybe challenging on their body, that would be great. I did see the stuff about Pink Ball and I catching it early and not getting to that phase. We like that as well. But if you get to that phase, we're also trying to make a difference there, because we don't want anybody to be left out.
Yeah, no, I think that kind of research is really beneficial. Just trying to get people what they need, right? Because cancer is because it's not just one. It's not one thing, right? It's not just it changes, it adapts, it's not just a matter of just cleaning something up, right? And where there's one equation that works every time. It's with something so complex like that. I think the research that you guys have been doing, that sounds really positive.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I was so moved by the video that Capri made, and just how you want a different outcome with what she found early. And then, but when she got to that metastatic stage, that we would, something could be big there that can help folks there. It's just very moving. You have two beautiful kids. I know, a boy and a girl.
Yes.
Are they like you, or are they like her? Or are they a combination?
They look very much like Capri.
Yeah.
Both of them have a little bit of her personality.
Yeah.
My son seems to be taking on a lot of my mannerisms. Unfortunately for him. Yeah, they're really fun kids. They're both kind of getting into volleyball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, despite my best efforts to not force them to play volleyball and try to play everything else. I'm losing terribly. They seem to be enjoying it, and I guess we'll figure it out as we go. Hopefully they'll find some other sports as well, because I think I'm a big believer that it's healthy to play other sports, and it's, I think it's functional for if you do end up being good enough to be, an elite athlete. Most of them usually play other things growing up. So.
Yeah. Well, you sure had a long list, that's for sure. That surprised me at how long that list was. I usually get a couple sports in there, but boy, and a 6'6" golfer, that's a long club, right? The leverage on that is big.
Yes. Yeah. My buddies all make fun of me because it takes me a little while to get the club back. I don't have a very violent swing. So they always start snoring on my backswing.
Oh, friends. Let's talk a little bit about your current program that you are the head coach of. You have, I believe, an assistant there that was part of the Florida Atlantic indoor team that I think I saw play when I lived in Florida for a couple of years.
Oh, that's right.
What's going on in beach? I love beach. I just was indoor my entire life. I played on the beach and vacations, and people would think they were going to wipe us up, and we'd go, okay, yeah, good try.
You could hang a little bit.
Yeah. It's so funny,
Right now we're kind of getting the new kids involved and figuring out what we have there, seeing how the returners are doing. Our season's sort of backwards from indoor volleyball. The kids come onto campus and we start in our 8-hour period. So kind of limited touches, opportunities for them to sort of get acclimated to their class schedule and what they've got going on. And then typically we end up training full time about 5 or 6 weeks. So we've just started that period. So we're kind of getting into our fall competitions. We've got a home event this weekend, which is always exciting. We get to play against people who aren't in our jersey. That's always, that piece is always really exciting. And it's probably even more exciting this year because we just renovated our courts over the summer. So we went from having 3 sand courts on campus. Now we have 5.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So super excited about that. That was a project that Capri and I started dreaming up during COVID when we were sort of sitting around trying to figure out what to do with ourselves. So we started looking at that and what it would take and the fundraising and things like that. So that was really exciting to see that get finished this summer. Would have been really cool if she'd been able to see, but it's still a pretty big landmark for the program, and it's gonna it's going to make things a little bit easier for training and for hosting. For those of you guys that aren't super familiar with beach volleyball, we play kind of like college tennis, the first school to win 3 out of 5 duels.
Yeah.
So it's doubles volleyball. And you have a seed or a line. So you have seed 1, seed 2, seed 3, seed 4, seed 5. And so your ones play the other school's ones, 2s versus 2s, 3s versus 3s. And whichever school wins 3 of those matches would win the head-to-head.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. There's always a lot going on. It's really intense. With college beach volleyball, you never quite know, I think as a spectator or a coach, the amount of times we've won the first set in all 5 matches and then ended up losing the overall match, just like kind of being up 2-0 in an indoor match, and you just got to win one more, and you get reverse swept, right?
Yeah, right.
And the other team comes back, and the intensity of it is really fun. And a lot of times in beach volleyball, if the match comes down to being tied at 2s, so it's 2-2, everybody kind of gathers around that last court and just surrounds that court. And that's super intense for the people who are watching. Definitely for the people that are playing. We've had that happen a few times in Gulf Shores at the national championships. And yeah, I think it's one of the best things about beach volleyball. You can feel the intensity and what everybody's feeling, and everybody's kind of hanging on each point. It's a fun atmosphere for sure.
So, you've got the sun, the sand, the wind. I mean, all these outside elements that you have to sort of understand how to navigate, to play the game really well. And then also, if you were to, what kind of player is some of the best beach volleyball players? Like what things do you look for or see that helps you identify some of the potential for beach volleyball players?
One of the interesting things about our sport that I think differs from indoor and probably a lot of college sports is you really want someone who's able to make decisions on their own. A lot of times we do play 5 courts at a time, and we only have 3 coaches. So it's very possible that you could be playing on a court without a coach there, which seems crazy, right? Like if you're thinking about indoor.
Yeah, right.
And you probably can't imagine having an indoor match going on over here while you're not coaching it. But I think for us, that's something that happens regularly. The kids are used to it, and for them being able to make their own decisions and assess maybe some changes that they need to make, or a switch or something like that. Having a good volleyball IQ is always really handy when we're looking recruiting. Watching kids, how they make adjustments, and you can see even at the junior level, you can hear kids come off the court and they're talking about their strategy and what they're going to do next and what the other person's trying to do. And I think the beach game is it's like a chess match.
Oh, I love that. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It is just trying to understand what the other team's doing and how you can affect what they're doing. And there's so many different ways to do that, with any sport.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the really cool things about it. And obviously, being physically gifted is always going to help. But one of the cool things about beach volleyball, you don't necessarily have to be physically gifted to be successful. There's only 2 people on the court. Ball control is definitely a premium, and your ability to move the ball around. I don't know if you got to watch the Beach Olympics this year, but there's a player. Well, I guess there's 2 players from LSU, but one of them's only 5'6". Kristen Nuss.
Yes.
And she's got, I think, just her drive and her motivation is probably what propels her to be so good. But she's also very athletic. But she's being really successful at the highest level. And I don't think you probably don't see a lot of 5'6" outside hitters at the Olympic level, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, I like the vision and what you see, and being able to take that and come up with a plan or whatever. Like she was able to just quickly see it.
And she's very good. I remember playing against her in college, I'd always give our kids a crazy defensive plan to kind of mess with her a little bit. And we could get her for like 4 or 5 points, and then she'd figure out what we were doing, and we couldn't adjust quick enough with plan B to catch her, and then she would win.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
You've got your support there at Florida Atlantic. I'm assuming with having 5 courts and being able to get that into play, and just really what's happened there with your volleyball beach game, you have some pretty strong support from those in leadership there. And I think the other day when we were speaking, your players were involved in a session that maybe was working on things besides just volleyball skills and volleyball physical training. Can you tell us a little bit about what you were trying to do with that?
No, I was very excited about this. Our sports supervisor, we were having conversations about ways that she could be a little bit more involved and not just be sort of one of those people up in the office that you go to when you have a problem.
Yeah.
So we were talking about different things. And I think for us, leadership's a really big thing, because you don't just have to be a captain to be a leader, right? Like anybody can be involved in that. And the way we've tried to go about leadership here is maybe a little different. For me, I know I am anything but perfect. I apologize a lot, and I make tons of mistakes, and I kind of own those mistakes, and we give the girls opportunities from time to time to critique the coaching staff about what we're doing. I think it's hard to hear as a grown-up about what you're doing wrong. Sometimes if you're really off, sometimes it feels like a little, gut punch. Mm-hmm. But I think as athletes, they get that all the time, right? They're constantly being told they need to be better. It never feels good to be told you need to be doing better, but I think it's a really healthy thing. And so just kind of having those conversations with our sports supervisor, and she said, I'd really love to get involved in that. I said, you sure? Yeah. But she was gung ho. She was a collegiate track athlete, so she's been there, and it was really great. I said, all right, well, we'll get some lunch and get you guys together, and it went really well. The girls really enjoyed it. I think they really enjoyed connecting with her. Our sports supervisor, she's a really bright lady. Every time I talk to her, she helps me out with kind of a different perspective on something that I'm struggling with, or. Mm-hmm. And I think the girls really enjoyed it. So half the team went to see her the other day when we were talking. Yeah. And the other half's going to see her next Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of working through different leadership styles, and, how we talk to our teammates, how we work through problems, kind of some of the stuff we were talking to. I think sometimes you're so invested in something, it's really easy to react emotionally.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel right now I'm really angry. I'm going to react angrily, even though maybe, okay, I don't actually feel like this all the time. I just feel like this in the moment. I think trying to diagnose that sometimes, and have appropriate reactions it's challenging. I think it's challenging for adults.
Yeah.
I think it's even more challenging for, young adults, and my kids. Every once in a while they get there, and I celebrate hard when they do. Right. Because a lot of times my daughter has a cough right now.
Oh.
So anytime she coughs, if she's not coughing into her elbow, my son just loses his bananas.
Okay. And how's she responding then?
So they just end up in a back and forth about the other time where he didn't do this, or he was chewing with his mouth open, or something, right? Like things that
parenting, right?
Yes. Yeah. But I think most of the time it just ends up being an extension of what I'm doing as a coach, and, what I'm doing as a role model.
Yeah.
It always sticks hard with me about, if I'm complaining about something that I'm not happy about, it's probably because I'm allowing it to happen or I'm not doing a very good job. So I always always try to stop myself if I'm getting agitated with a certain situation and just be like, okay, this is probably on me.
I read something the other day, be a participant in your own rescue. And I thought, hey, that's pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
Save yourself from where you're going.
That's good advice. I think trying really hard to enjoy what we're doing. I'm pretty hell-bent on trying to win at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to do that. I am one of the most competitive people ever. But at the same time, we want the kids to enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah.
We don't want the kids to leave here just being ground down and worn out and trying to find that balance. And I think for me, just continuing to search for the right balance of being demanding, but being demanding in a way that is uplifting and not condescending or, soul crushing. Mm-hmm. This is something I talk about with my colleagues all the time. And I talk about with my friends and loved ones. We don't have a ton of transfers, which I think is positive for our culture. But, I think sometimes most successful programs do. Like if you're winning, a lot of times you do have significant turnover, and I hope we can find a way to.
Yeah, it's a challenge
to do it at a high level.
Yeah,
it is.
That's a big challenge. You see it, and a lot of people are just not wanting to go there. But it does come about where you're going, dang, I'm trying to go this way, and they've got juniors and seniors that are coming in and rocking it here, and we're still, getting the game at the collegiate level. That's challenging. Oh.
It is. And I think part of that, for anybody, right? Like with the way recruiting is, we're recruiting kids so early that, you don't always know what you're going to get. So most kids want to do well. I think the amount of conversations I've had with young ladies where they just didn't know they didn't understand why. Like they thought they were doing the things that they thought they should be doing.
Yeah.
Coach, I go to practice every day. I said, well, so does everybody else. Like what else are you going to do if you want to be better than somebody else or pass somebody else or push somebody else to be better? Most kids do really well if they feel like you believe in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, I think as coaches, sometimes it's funny, right? Because you go, this person's, why aren't they doing that? Or why aren't they doing this? And I think just kind of like we talked about, right? Just trying to remember, like, okay, maybe they need some help here.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they need to be reminded of something like that.
Yeah. Keeping the door open there, I'm sure, Steve, is also really important that they are able to have conversations with you too. I read something about something Karsh Karai said, and you say you're a real competitive guy, and he goes, one of the things he would say in practice, we're tired. We're being pushed. No one cares. I mean, in a loving way, right? We're tired. Yeah. We're being pushed. No one cares. So keep on going. And they get stronger, and life goes on, and they learn something more about themselves, right?
Yeah. Karch is the best, isn't he?
He's
got more euphemisms and funny sayings, sort of deadpan sayings where there's not...
And he was both, indoor Olympian, beach Olympian. I mean, wow.
Yeah, he still gets on the floor though.
Yeah.
Have you seen him? He'll be doing demonstrations and he'll randomly dive on the floor to show somebody like what he's looking for. He's a special person.
Yeah. I thank you. I've kept you a little long today. I thank you for coming on today, Steve.
This was a pleasure. It was really great to chat with you, Janice.
Yeah. We're going to watch for that. You say the date for the bash is December 6th?
Yeah, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th. Okay. And that's going to be on the campus of Florida Atlantic in your 5 courts that you have there? Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe they should send me to Florida.
Yeah, we can do a whole thing. We should definitely talk about that.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you, Steve. You have I wish you the best of luck with your season. Stay strong. Who knows? Maybe you'll see me in December.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Please share your feedback with us at side-out.org.